Hello, gentle marketers. Welcome to episode 71 of the Gentle Business Revolution podcast, the show where we talk about marketing your business by disrupting the current marketing paradigm and changing it to a gentler approach, one that's based on empathy and kindness. As always, I'm Sarah Croce. I'm your host here, and you know that you're in the right place if you are a heart-centered entrepreneur or change maker who is looking for a better way to market your business. Or you might also be a marketing impact pioneer. So that's someone who's working in a company, maybe in the marketing department, and you're looking also for different ways to market. Today's episode falls under the P of pricing. And if you're a regular here, you know that I'm organizing the conversations around the 7 Ps of the Gentle Marketing Mandala. And if you're new here and don't know what I'm talking about, you can download your one-page marketing plan with the Gentle Marketing version of the 7 Ps of marketing at sarahsandcroce.com/one page. It's the number 1 and then the word page. It comes with 7 email prompts to really help you reflect on these different Ps. Today's episode, as I said, is about pricing, and pricing are always really popular episodes here. It's something that we're all struggling with, and I'm really excited to talk to my guest today, Caroline Wood. She is an introvert who supports other introverts to build successful businesses that work for them rather than take over their lives. She does this through helping them put in place great business models, pricing, and systems to thrive. Caroline is a corporate escapee, having spent 20 years as a chartered accountant working for large businesses and not-for-profits. She has wound her way around the world working in Australia, her home country, the UK, Namibia, and Laos. So in today's conversation, we're going to be talking about pricing for service-based businesses, working out a minimum price, how setting up business systems can help you with pricing. I also talked to her about a recent blog post she posted around different business models, which really piqued my interest. So without further ado, let's talk to Caroline. Hi, Caroline. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm awesome, thanks. Yeah, we have this big time difference, first of all, because you're in Australia and I'm in Switzerland. And we also have a seasonal difference, which
Yes.
I just mentioned. So it's always fun to think, what it would be like right now in summer. And I'm here in the middle of December.
Particularly Christmas.
Exactly.
Summer Christmas.
Yeah. It's always interesting.
Yes.
So today I invited you to talk about pricing. And like I kind of said offline, I noticed on the podcast downloads, pricing is always a topic that gets lots of interest, I think, because, everybody, I think, as a business owner kind of struggles with that topic, but especially gentle marketers or gentle business owners, because there's a lot of uncertainty, I think, with pricing. Am I doing it right? Are people not buying because it's too expensive? Am I, pricing too low? So many questions around pricing. And the other thing that also I share in the book is this idea of underselling. So I'm pretty convinced that my story of underselling as a gentle marketer is not unique. Have you heard that in your practice, Caroline, with your clients, or maybe even experienced it yourself as well?
Yeah, certainly with my clients, and I know that I have definitely done it. Particularly, I think when you're in the early stages of your business and, you know your own stuff really well. Mm-hmm. Like, I know my numbers really well, but the whole marketing and that other side of the business is really challenging. And I think that just encourages you to not believe in yourself as much as you perhaps should, because you don't understand that particular element of business, even though you're really good at what you do. So I think we all have it, particularly at that very, those first year or two of running a business. And, of course, you burn yourself out then when you don't price properly.
Yeah, It's so true. It has so much to do with confidence, right? And so that's why, that's why maybe we lower our prices, because we don't think of ourselves as being worthy, for higher prices. Is that what you see as well?
Yeah, and I think as dental marketers, we tend to do that even more than perhaps other people. I don't think we're as good at that fake it till you make it attitude. I think that's not a gentle marketer thing. I know personally for myself, I don't want to fake it till I make it. I want to offer a good service, from the beginning. People are giving me money. I want it to be delivering value and be something they should, get the outcomes they want from what they bought from me. And I think when you're gentle, that whole fake it stuff feels just a bit, just feels yucky and uncomfortable.
Yeah. So how do we, price gently, or you call your service practical prices? So how do we price our services or offers in a practical way, in a gentle way, without burning out? Because I think that's part of the underselling is that if we undersell our services, then we end up constantly working, because we have to get bring in so many clients to still, have a sustainable business. So how can we, have a sustainable business, make a good income that is enough for us, or maybe a bit more than enough, and therefore also, prevent the whole burnout idea, and really, as introverts especially, we need a certain quiet time, and we know that working constantly, especially with one-on-one clients, might actually drain our energy. So how do we get that balance right?
I mean, for me, I think when we first start out in business, we have so many, I think most of us have a lot of money mindset issues that we need to work through. But my big problem with that is, yes, you've got money mindset issues to work through, but you rarely solve anything mindset related quickly. So for me, it's about getting to know your numbers and having a system where you know how much you should be charging for each of your hours with your clients to make a proper income, one that you can live off without, as you say, having to do so many one-on-one sessions that you just burn yourself out. Because, as you say, as introverts or, quiet, gentle marketers, you can't be talking to people all the time. You have to factor in that downtime. And part of what I do with the system I use is working out how much time you really have to work with clients, and how much time you've got for client work, and then working out what that would translate to as an hourly rate. And that's not to say you would charge by the hour, but it's understanding how that then feeds into any packages or products that you're going to price. So really, really understanding where the numbers come from first. And then also just looking at what your competitors are doing, which I know for a lot of people throws up comparisonitis. So it's, when you see what others are doing, it can be quite daunting. But I think it also helps you to give a better sense of what people are actually charging in the market, and what people are willing to pay for your kind of services.
It sounds like there's, two steps in a way to tackle pricing. One is the mental, and that doesn't necessarily need to go first, but it needs to happen either way, either first or in parallel with then your more practical approach. Because sometimes we kind of have this, ostrich approach to numbers. We just like, let me just do the inner work, and and then from there everything will figure itself out. But you're saying no, we still need to actually look at the numbers, because that's in the end what we're dealing with here. And so in a way, solve first or not first, but also the mental blocks, but then also, okay, now let's look at the numbers and really calculate. You were talking kind of the way I understood it, about a minimum price, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the minimum you need to be paying yourself. And I think that's two of the aspects to it, that you need to be working out pricing that includes paying yourself, which I think a lot of people forget about when they first start pricing. They think about the costs they've got to cover, or bits and pieces, without actually thinking about, okay, what's the wage that I want to pay myself? If you're an employer, if you're working for someone, what would you want to give yourself? And I think so a lot of people start out not thinking about, oh, this is how I'm actually going to make my income. They seem to have a bit of a disconnect there. But I'd also say that I think high school maths has so much to answer for when it comes to people and numbers and pricing. Like, high school maths makes it really seem complex, that you're going to be doing all these calculus and algebra and all sorts of other things. And it's really quite simple numbers that you can do to work out what you should be charging people to make sure you can actually survive and hopefully thrive.
Yeah, you're right about the high school math. I think, there's some people like you who are, really just feel like, okay, numbers, I get it. It's my thing. And then there's many of us, me included, who, it all started during high school. And you're like, well, I must just not be good at numbers, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right? Not realizing that, well, there's numbers and numbers and numbers. And here we're talking about something unrelated to algebra. It's like a completely different way to look at numbers. And you kind of talked about, pricing in the time that you spend with the client, but also probably the time that you spend preparing for the time that you're going to actually see the client. So prep time. And what do you think? I heard this concept once where this guy was sharing how he's pricing and why he's charging what he's charging. And he included things like, IP, intellectual property. He included experience. He included, kind of mental space. So, maybe not his exact words, but he was saying, well, if I work with a client one-on-one, it's like I become their partner, and I really spend time thinking about them also when I'm not working with them. And that really resonated with me. If I take on a one-on-one client, I'm like constantly thinking about them. And when I hear a podcast, I'm like, oh, this would be good for, her. And so what do you think about calculating some non-tangibles into your price as well?
Yeah, I think that's really good to do. I think it's hard to do at the beginning. Yeah. So I tend not to do it with clients using the system. Mm-hmm. But then I sort of feel like, because you're not, when you are starting out, you are missing a lot of the business stuff that goes around what you offer. So you may be a fantastic life coach, but maybe your onboarding isn't amazing to begin with.
Right.
But as you grow and you get to understand and you talk to other people about how they do business, you develop much better experiences for your clients. Mm-hmm. And that's where I see, you start to put your prices up. So I like to start people off, mainly because most of the people I see, even putting their prices up to what their minimum should be, completely freaks them out. So that's sort of like the next step after they've worked with me is I'm really about, let's get your minimum price so that you're not completely undercharging, which so many people are. Yeah. And then we can look at, putting your prices up as you get more clients, as you get more booked out and you're more in demand. And then that's when you start to factor in things like your IP, the amazing experience you deliver. And I think the experience you bring, as you work with more and more clients, you just naturally know more because you've seen more situations.
Yeah. And I think you can really feel yourself into the client's specific situation because you can compare with all these other clients you've had in the past, right?
Yeah. But you should definitely be charging for, even when I talk to people about that minimum price, you should definitely be including things like prep time and the follow-up you do. Like if you prepare notes after a call, then that should be factored in as work that you do. I have clients who do training for people, and they would never not include the time it takes to prepare for the training, because that's a huge piece of their work. And I think, other service providers need to think about that as well.
I think it's really a mindset shift from going, from like just this hourly rate, where maybe some of your old clients, if you've been in business for a while and you've only, always charged hourly, maybe they're going to transition out and it's not going to work for them if all of a sudden you're actually, raising your price and saying, well, this is my new price and it includes my time spent off. I'm not just billing for the time that we spent together, but if once you're there with this new price, I think you're going to feel much better. What I noticed, and I share in the underselling story, is also almost like there's this frustration when working with clients and not feeling like you're getting paid well enough for the service you're offering. You know what I mean? When it's like,
I do.
I feel like I'm giving so much and yet I'm kind of stuck with this hourly price, that it gets to a resentment almost towards your clients.
Oh, definitely.
That is just a shame, because you're in business to do good work and find joy and really delight with your clients as well.
And I think the weird thing is that when you put up your prices, you tend to attract better clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you're too low, you get a lot of people who are bargain hunters who expect so much for what you're charging.
Yeah.
And that as you put your prices up, you start to work with people who are more realistic about what they're paying for. They understand contracts. They understand what you've agreed to do together. Their businesses tend to be, if you're working with people in business, their businesses tend to be further ahead. Yeah. If you're charging more, if you're a wellness person and you're charging more, you're probably finding you're getting people who are more committed to the process than someone who's only paying a really low amount. Not always, obviously. There's some, a lot of people who can't afford really high prices, but they're still really committed. But I just find that as you put your prices up at least a bit, you attract clients who actually value your work a lot more than those who are just looking for the lowest price possible.
I'd agree. I noticed that whenever I had in the past, had a sale on, you would get more sales, but then you'd also get more problems, meaning people were, much more picky about things and it was just like problem after problem. And again, it led to frustration, because I'm like, I'm giving you this great deal. And now, I end up in more problems. So obviously, it was all me, because I put up the sale, where maybe sales they're okay sometimes, but you need to be careful to not become this business who only basically sells while you have a discount or a sale on, because then that also kind of impacts your brand and reputation, I would say.
Yeah, I think sales can work well if it's like, I've done with that you're part of the Introvert marketing bundle, where they're courses that don't require the people who take part, who offer their courses as part of the bundle, to then do there's no one-on-one work as part of that. I think sales can work, can be okay then, but I think as soon as you start discounting your price and it relates to your actual time, that's when you start to go down the slippery slope.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always exceptions, like if you want to do pro bono work for a charity or, something, a cause you really believe in, there's always, you've always got exceptions to anything. But I think as a general rule, I don't recommend discounting if it relates to your time.
I love that you bring that up, because what I noticed is once you actually do make, good money and you feel good about receiving that level of income, then you are much more open to then also do pro bono work for certain projects that just, bring you joy. And you're like, of
Yes.
course I will do this for free. Where
Yep.
before I found myself in this situation where it's like, I'm doing everything for free. And so that didn't feel good anymore. But once you turn it around, you're like, I'd love to. Yes, of course. So it's a much better position to be in, because naturally gentle marketers are givers. So it's not the giving that we're struggling with. It's more the receiving. So it's really the receiving, I think, that we need to work on. Yeah.
And I've seen a couple of people recently do where they've had maybe courses that have an interactive element or a group program.
Mm-hmm.
They've offered, say, one space for someone who, they charge a pay what you can rate, or they give a scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really nice way to give back without devaluing your brand and who you are.
Yeah.
So you still get to support people and be that gentle marketer you want to be.
Yeah.
While not actually damaging your business at the same time.
Yeah. Actually, let's talk a bit about that pay what you can, or pay what on the Gentle Business Circle. I actually have a pay what feels good model. And I'm actually, saying I'm testing this out, because there's a lot of talk about these pay what feels good models. And some people will say, it never works. The people are always going to choose the lowest level. And other people are saying, I had a conversation with Mark Silver about this topic, who's kind of made this his niche. And he says, well, you need to take enough space. That's what I remember from this conversation, meaning that you really need to explain your model and explain, these are the ranges, but if you can afford it, I would love for you to take this middle range, because that's what really covers my costs. And so I don't think it's the fact or it's true that these pay what feel good models don't work. I think often they're not well explained enough. Is that what would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen anecdotal evidence from people who've done it, and most of them have said, if the price, I would normally offer this is, say, $49 or $110 or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But, please pay what you feel it's worth. And I think most people find that most people pay the price that you think, if you say it's $49, that's what most people will give you, because you've made the decision for them.
Yeah.
If you give them a guide, they don't have to go, oh my goodness, this is worth $10 to me, $100. If you say,
that's hard to figure out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. If you say it's $49 normally, but pay what feels good, I think most people end up paying the $49 because that's the easy decision.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I'll report back after.
Yeah, interesting to hear.
Yeah.
I think generally people don't like making decisions. So if you give them the answer, they really like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. There's this saying, time is money. What comes up for you when you hear that?
I think for me, it's that for a lot of us, time is money. We just don't realize it. I mean, one of the things I really hate is the term passive income, because there's absolutely nothing passive about it.
Yeah.
It's, just, so it's how do you use your time to make money in the best way for you, I think is what it comes up for me. And whether you want to pay someone else to do something so you have more time for something else. So it's always that trade-off, I think, of if you don't have much money, then you've got time, and if you have a lot of money, then you can buy more time.
That's interesting. Yeah, basically outsource and
yeah.
What also comes up for me, and I think that also relates to what you're offering is systems. Because I think if we put in place systems, that reduces the amount of time for certain things that maybe we don't need to actually spend on if we have a system in place, right?
Yeah.
So what are some examples of systems that you put in place or help your clients with?
So for me, the big one is that whole onboarding process.
Mm-hmm.
I know when I first started out, I was spending so much time sending contracts and invoicing people.
Yeah.
And just by systematizing that, and also having, simple things like a calendar booking system, particularly being in Australia where the time zones are always a nightmare, has made such a difference for me, because it means that the time we've agreed to meet, we both know what time it is, we're both in the right time zone. I'm not waiting around for someone, or they're not waiting around for me for half an hour because we've messed up, what zone we're in. Or so even just simple things like that can make such a big difference to how much other time you've got in your business. I say getting my template contracts set up and in a system where I just type in people's names and press a button has been, life-changing in a lot of ways.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you would have to draft that contract every time, by hand and then back and forth and scan it and whatnot. Yeah. It's a lot of admin time that you can save yourself, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the setup doesn't take that long. I think we put it off because the setup, we think it's going to be complicated and the setup will be hard. And, it's not easy, but once it's up and running, it's up and running. And oftentimes you can hire a VA to do that kind of thing for you really quickly.
It's kind of an investment you do once and then it's set for life.
Yes.
Yeah. I often share about this for my podcast, because a podcast is, so much repetitive tasks. And I really automized the heck out of it. And so that I only get to spend the joyful part, get to do the joyful part, which is having the conversations. And then everything else is just like, it's a system, it's a process. My VAs know what to do. And so that feels really good, because I knew if I was going to do this podcast and it will take me, hours, like you hear people say, it's a good 3-hour job for each episode. And that just didn't feel good to me. I was like, that's going to make me want to stop the whole thing. And so we really worked hard on that process. Yeah.
I think as introverts, we sometimes don't realize how draining it is to deal with things like emails.
Yeah.
So you're not on a call and you're not talking to someone, but it's still that interaction and having to think about responses that I think takes a lot of us who are introverts a lot more time to do than perhaps someone who just shoots off quick replies.
Mm-hmm. It's true. It's true. It can take me like half hour to write 2 lines.
Yeah.
Because I'm always putting myself in the receiver's place and think, well, does that sound good? Is that, gentle? Does that come over as, pushy or like it can take a lot of time to just, come up with a simple reply.
And then you have to have a nap afterwards.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear I'm not the only one.
No, definitely not.
I want to address another one of your strengths, which is business models and kind of how they relate to pricing. You wrote a blog recently, and we'll link to it in the show notes, where you talked about building your business your way. And so obviously that really resonates. And then you explain the 4 different business models. So would you please kind of explain those to our listeners and then kind of explain how they relate to pricing?
Yep. So this really I started really thinking about it when I was running the Introvert marketing bundle, and how, I'm making money off other people's knowledge and products that they've developed. And I really started thinking about that whole knowledge piece and how you can, knowledge and time, and how you can leverage that differently to grow your business.
Maybe I want to just pause you there. And why don't you explain that bundle in a bit more details?
Yeah, so with the bundle, I get together, I think last time it was about 13 people, 13 people who offer courses that aren't, massively expensive. and I bring everyone together. That everyone offers their course. We package it up and we sell it to other people for $99. And everyone gets an affiliate link. And if they sell the bundle, they get a certain amount of money. And I get to, I keep a certain amount of money for organising the bundle and I prepare all the marketing collateral and the emails and stuff that people can use. So it's a really easy thing for them to take part in.
Yeah.
So it's really about bringing together all these different people's courses and then packaging them up together at a really good price. And I went with marketing because that's not one of my strengths. And I know for a lot of my introvert clients, marketing is one of the things they really struggle with. So it's a great way for me to be able to offer marketing support for the introverts in my audience who I can't help. So it was a really lovely way to be able to help them at a
win-win.
really good price. Yeah.
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 Okay, so back to the business models.
Yeah. So I was thinking about that and how knowledge and time, and I came up with what I thought there were 4 different options. And depending on how much is one-on-one time versus knowledge and whose knowledge and time you're leveraging. So one option is that you leverage your time, which is really about one-on-one services and then high-end group programs where you have a lot of one-on-one contact and it takes up a lot of your time. It's not something that you can, you have to be present. It's you delivering the service.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side of that is where you leverage more of your knowledge than your time, and it's things like online courses where you might you'll still be there, you're still maybe contributing in a Facebook group, but it's not the same intensity as the first option. And then because of the bundle, I started thinking about, well, you also leverage other people's time. And so that high-end one-on-one service then becomes more of an agency model where you're hiring people who then deliver that one-on-one service to your clients.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of businesses do that and they don't call it an agency. But, it'd be like a gym where you get personal assistants, personal trainers in rather to also train your clients.
Right.
And then the final model is the introvert marketing bundle where you're really leveraging other people's knowledge. And the other options other than bundles are things like, you might be an affiliate for a program, so you make affiliate money income, or you're seeing it more and more now with people organising summits and selling VIP passes at the end.
Right, yeah.
So they're sort of the 4 options.
Mm.
And I think it's about thinking about who you want to serve and how you want to serve them is what affects which model you pick. But obviously pricing also comes into that, particularly in terms of who you want to serve. So to really scale that one-on-one, you either have to go with the agency model, and if you don't want to do that, then you have to do high-end client work if you're really wanting to make serious money.
Mm-hmm.
That you can't. You have to charge more per hour than normal, whereas with an online course, the pricing is much more flexible. You can, if you're not heavily involved in the delivery all the time, then you can have a price it lower and probably serve more people and also serve people who can't afford that high-end service.
Right.
And then the last 2 options are similar again, but it's about leveraging other people's knowledge, I guess. So the pricing is still the same, the 2 models, but then it's about who actually delivers the information.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I had never thought about it like that. I guess also because if I had to, for my business, pick one of them, I have like one in each corner. So I kind of like to mix and match. And I guess that applies because I have, 12 plus years experience.
Yeah.
If you're first starting out, I like the idea of kind of picking one and then making that your focus for maybe, at least 2 years and kind of building in that corner. And then why not? Yes. Then pick another one from another corner and kind of expand. Is that kind of also what you're seeing? Because you're also working one-on-one with clients and you have the affiliate model. So it's kind of a mix and match as well.
Yeah, and I think the affiliate model is easier to integrate into that one-on-one work than perhaps the others are.
Yeah, true.
In terms of having to develop a lot of content. So it's probably an easier second choice if that's, if you want to add a little bit more in.
I agree, because, what we hear everywhere online is that you have to have your own online course and that you're going to make millions with that online course. But the truth is that creating an online course, like you say, is much more work than maybe selling other people's courses.
Yes.
And yes, maybe you're going to be making lots of money, but maybe not,
Yes.
So I like this idea of, well, you don't have to necessarily have your own online course. Why not, use other people's know-how and kind of partner with them and really affiliate marketing kind of got a bad reputation because it can be very pushy, but if you do it the gentle way, it's beautiful partnerships that can happen. Like that's how you and I met. I was part of your Introvert marketing bundle. And now, we're doing this together. So it really depends on how you approach it. And if you do it well, affiliate marketing can be a great additional income to your...
Yeah. And I think, say for me, it was also about being able to offer people in my audience something that I couldn't do.
Exactly.
So that, particularly with marketing where there is so much
that's so
bad extrovert advice out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's how do you find the right people to help your audience or the right products? I think if you come from a place of service with affiliate marketing, it's a really good experience for both sides.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about the always maximizing, but it's about who can I put my audience in touch with who will have the same values and who they will align with.
Yeah.
So I really like that approach. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's about service.
Exactly. In the end, it always comes back to that. It's so true. We could keep on going. I would have tons more questions, but I think we got to wrap it up here. And so I'd like to I always ask a last question. What are you grateful for today, Caroline?
I think for me this has been for most of this year, I've been really grateful that I work from home and that I have my own business. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, obviously always grateful for family and friends and probably don't say that enough. But for me, it's really been that I have this opportunity to work from home and in a setting that I feel comfortable in. And I think because it's been such a long year and I'm really tired at the moment anyway, being able to work from home this week before Christmas has just been very fabulous for my soul.
Yeah. A lot of love goes out to our extroverts who probably kind of suffered a bit on a different level than us introverts. But I'm with you. I'm grateful to be able to work from home. Do tell us where people can find you in order to, find out more about you or work with you on their pricing.
Yeah. So my website is quietlyextraordinary.com. And I think I'm on nearly all the social media platforms as Quietly Caroline. So mainly Instagram probably at the moment, but that's just, trying to cut back on my number of platforms. So probably Instagram and I'm at Quietly Caroline.
Wonderful. We'll make sure we put those in the show notes. Thank you so much for this quietly wonderful conversation, Caroline.
Thank you for having me. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Thank you. I hope you learned a lot on this conversation around pricing. Please go check out Caroline's website if you need more help around this topic. She's at quietlyextraordinary.com, and you'll also find all the links and resources we mentioned at sarahsanacroce.com/GBR71. Also, if your intuition tells you that now is the time to join the Gentle Business Circle, our monthly explorations of gentle marketing and gentle business, then don't miss the deadline to join us for our next call on February 10th. We get together every month and really create change as a community. If you join now, there's still time to submit a marketing question as well that we can then discuss. We're now about 20 plus people in our little gentle marketer group, and besides the main group, we also get to share and be heard and hear each other's perspective in the different breakout rooms. You can find out more and sign up at sarahsenecoche.com/circle and choose the monthly price that feels good to you and suits your current budget. Next Friday, I'm back with an interview around the topic of email marketing, the gentle way. Don't miss it. Let's be the change we want to see in the world. Take care.